Good luck.
So I just watched the Super Mario Odyssey, Super Mario Galaxy. It's the Galaxy movie, the Super Mario Galaxy movie that's out in theaters right now. Yeah, I just watched that one. Yeah, it was a pretty cool movie, you know, similar to the first Mario movie. There were a lot of like Nintendo references, Mario references. If you're a big like fan of those games and, you know, every Nintendo property since like the 80s and 90s, there's going to be a lot of stuff that's just going to make you very excited. On the whole, the movie had some things story-wise that I'm like, yeah, you know what? I wish they could have done a little bit more there. I wish some things were expounded upon more. Again, I'm not going to get into spoilers very much in terms of the overall plot, just in case you still haven't seen it yet. But I will be talking about spoilers in terms of one thing in this movie. So, I'm letting you know right now. 3, 2, 1... Fox McCloud is in this movie. You might have already known that because of the poster, but I'm about to spoil everything that he does and talk about how great his inclusion was, because I lost my mind when I saw this poster. Again, I just never expected Star Fox to be in the middle of this IP resurgence that it clearly is. And the fact that he is, like, in a movie voiced by a celebrity, like this character who was kind of, like, jokey from, like, 64 and on, and, like, maybe the only serious, like, telling of him in Assault kind of got sidelined and ignored for, like, 20 years and still debatably is. But the fact that they brought this character back and he's kind of like a hilarious, like, Han Solo, but also, like, sort of, like, pathetic loser, which can be Han Solo at times. So he's got, like, this mix of, like, adventure, brave, like, crazy, I'm gonna do, like, when, oh my gosh, when he had that opening scene, and Glenn Powell, who just voiced him excellently, did that barrel rolls thing. I could not stay in my seat. It was crazy. So I watched it with my older brother, who I don't think had seen a lot of the trailers. So a lot of the genuine surprise moments in the movie were like really catching him. And I was like, this is great. Because a lot of people kind of judge these movies by like, well, I've already seen every trailer, so they better surprise me. But a lot of people just come to these theaters and watch these movies without even seeing the trailers. So seemed like that was like a genuine, surprising experience all the way throughout. But when Fox was doing his introduction, and it went into this really crazy cool anime like style with really like high contrast popping colors, and I was like, okay, yeah, this is really cool. But I was kind of also expecting that because I had heard something about like, okay, when Fox does his introduction in the movie, there's going to be like this like cool art style change. So that didn't like take me off guard so much. I will tell you the one thing that did get me out of my seat, and that comes a little later. But first I want to talk about when that 2D intro started. First of all, the music, Brian Tyler's music is unbelievable. It is like out streaming now. I'm going to pre-order the physical album. I was just like, that was my favorite part of the whole movie. All the music was my favorite part of the movie. I'm so glad that they let him just use more of it in the movie, and there weren't like just pop song after pop song after pop song kind of like sidelining these like beautiful arrangements of iconic video game compositions. Like that really meant a lot to me, to see that they cared about what music was being featured in the proper thematic music for these characters. Not to mention like what was actually being featured in that flight deck scene. Like Samus's gunship was there, the Pikmin were there getting out of the SS Dolphin, Rob was there with a pretty funny joke. I think that whole scene was very, very cool, and hopefully has some hints to some future movies or TV shows or properties from Nintendo Pictures, because I'm looking forward to it. But Fox's whole 2D sequence was incredibly animated, incredibly well voiced, and the music that scored it was incredible as well. I had stars in my eyes and my mouth was wide open when I just saw Falco Lombardi, like that text across the screen, and then you see Falco looking like cooler than he's ever looked. Like, oh my god. I really hope they use that art style they used in a, I don't know if it's going to be a show or a movie, but whatever Nintendo is planning to make with Star Fox, not as a game, but in an animated sense, use that style, because that looked unbelievable. That looked so so cool. And I just want 90 minutes of that. I think a lot of people can understand that. But Fox on the whole was super, super funny. Again, the voice work was just excellent. And the whole thing with like him kind of having, it almost looked like he was going to have some kind of like rivalry with Mario. They like stared each other down. But I was so glad they just pushed that right to the side. They're like, we're not going to repeat the freaking Donkey Kong trope from the last one. It's like, no, they get it. And Fox is helping them and Peach is paying Fox. So there's like a whole like, it's a fair agreement. Everything is above board. It's all good. And then he's like, yeah, I like this mustache guy. Like, it's cool. And that, to me, alludes to the fact that this is not going to be the last time we see Fox and Mario together on screen. Because it seems like the Illumination movies are, like, kind of going with this, like, Mario's mustache is a defining quality thing. Like, Peach calls him mustache. Fox identifies him for it. So I feel like that's going to be some kind of thing where, like, Fox comes to back him up in another movie and he's like, hey, mustache. I don't know. But, again, like, that whole first scene was very, very cool. And speaking of the music again, the part that got me to jump out of my seat, right? So they splashed in a little bit of the Corneria Level 1 theme from the SNES Star Fox. And that was sick. And just like a little bit as the R-Wing was taking off. By the way, seeing an R-Wing in a movie theater on the big screen was so cool. The R-Wing, like I've mentioned in a previous video, but the R-Wing is literally like one of the coolest fictional plane designs ever. So just seeing that like up there, and it was cool they used like the two sides of the R-Wing as like extra seats. I thought that was really funny. I was worried a second when Fox was sitting with Peach. I was like, oh no, is he like Mr. Steal Your Girl? Like, is this happening? And I was like, are Mario and him gonna be... No, but like none of that happened, and that's fine. And I feel like that might leave some open room for a Star Fox movie where Crystal gets introduced. But, you know, that's far future that we're talking about. With that scene, they're using Galaxy music. They're using Star Fox music. So far we had heard the main theme of Star Fox, and we had heard the Corneria bit. When they approached the Bowser Jr. and Bowser in the UFO, and you heard the Venom music. See, I know that music as like music from Smash Melee, because that's what I played before as a kid, before Star Fox 64. But the music that plays on that stage, it's one of the alternate themes. I think when you're playing Melee Adventure Mode and Falco comes down to fight you after you beat Fox, it comes into the whoop, 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 bum, 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 bum. And I was like, I literally, that was what got me to that's what got me to leave my seat, because I did not just like, once I already got like all the Star Fox references with like the crazy like colors and everything in the intro, I was like, okay, I'm good. I feel great. And he's a character and this will be fun. But I did not just think about like, oh my God, wait, there's still like half this movie left for them to show me how badass Fox McCloud is and how cool Star Fox is and the great freaking Star Fox music. So that freaked me out. And then like, as this music is happening, we're seeing a legit R-Wing battle against like, it's like literally a Star Fox boss battle just happening. Like Fox is battling Bowser and Bowser Jr. in their giant UFO mothership, and he is taking it by himself in an R-Wing. Like this is kind of already a Smash Bros movie at this point. Like that, oh my gosh, that part by itself was maybe the highlight of the movie for me. There were a lot of parts, of course, that we can get into later, and parts that focused on more like Mario and Luigi stuff. I loved Luigi. Luigi was the funniest character in this movie. But there were a lot of things that I think also like hit some really high highs. But again, this is Corneria. I'm talking about Fox McCloud. I'm talking about Star Fox series. So yeah, he was still, you know, my favorite element of this movie, and including all the music. But him just kind of taking out everything and then having to grapple with the R-Wing not working was really funny. I saw someone point out online that it's like, yeah, this is actually very tragic because he probably got this R-Wing from his dad. And I'm like, you know what? They didn't even really touch on his dad too much. I thought it was really funny that in the 2D sequence, they have this whole thing of the like, I guess that's what I get for making my like head engineer a frog. And it just cuts to literally the pilot icon of Slippy from Star Fox 64. Like, I'm like, this is so crazy. And that's what I'm talking about. Like, this is so many just for the fans things. But it's still so cool that they're just pushing these characters forward when they haven't been seen for 10 years. it's so awesome. Like it's genuinely heartwarming. It genuinely is heartwarming. But he has a lot of cool moments going forward. Again, it's like he's in a lot more of this movie than I think most people were expecting. Like, he continues to have like banter with the main characters and be a driving force of the plot. Like, he's like, yes, I'll bring you to the space junk galaxy. And there's, the scene when the Lumas are all around him and they're like, Team Star Fox, and they have the jackets. He was just like exuding swagger, and the other characters picked up on it. Toad literally going like, he's so cool. Toad said something like, he's the coolest guy I've ever seen. I just turned to my brother who was watching with me, and I'm like, yeah, that's literally my reaction right now. It's just so funny that I'm like, I thought Nintendo hated this guy. Or not hated him, but just like, they had ignored him for so long. But Miyamoto clearly loves him. And Glenn Powell clearly loves him because I think he literally revived him from the grave. And if, this future Star Fox game or games, I don't want to get my hopes too high up. But if those are actually, on the horizon, then I think we are in for a new decade, a whole new era of Star Fox. And we have Glenn Powell to thank for reviving this character. It's so crazy. It's so crazy. But I guess Nintendo really does want to do something with him now, which is super cool. The fact that he got to drive the Comet Observatory is so insane. That is, like, you could not ask me to predict that, like, 2 weeks ago. I would never think, yes, Fox McCloud is going to drive Rosalina's Comet Observatory and save, and help them save Rosalina from Bowser Jr. Like, never. That was no one's bingo card. No one was ever going to predict that. But it happened, and it looked incredible. And again, they start using not just the Star Fox music, but this great Galaxy music. Like, we heard, like, Gusty Garden Galaxy, like, 3 different times. It was incredible. Every time you heard it, it was during these, like, really pivotal moments. Seeing the Gateway Galaxy, the great fight at the end, and then again, this invasion of Planet Bowser. So cool. I also loved the aesthetic of Planet Bowser. It kind of reminded me of the Monstars planet from Space Jam. Like, why do, like, villains just like these, like, roller coaster theme park, like, evil theme park designs? It worked, though. It works every time. Going back to the more Mario side of things, I loved the inclusion of Dry Bowser. That was super, super cool. I loved the fight at the very end where Luigi draws Mr. Game & Watch. That was so freaking cool. And I loved the inclusion of the ruined dragon from Odyssey. There were all these really cool things. But the thing I popped off the most with Mario was using the red star, because I think the red star is such a forgotten ability. It just gives Mario this really cool red and black design, and it allows him to fly. So, like, I wasn't even thinking about that showing up, and I'm so glad it did. My brother literally turned to me, he goes, what is that? Like, I've never seen that. And it's like, it's true, because I feel like a lot of people don't even think about the red star. But that was such a cool, like, cap off to what was going on. And then, of course, post-credit scene, you see Fox McCloud, and he is talking to Toad. And then he is on his way home because he says, like, that cool space princess or something gave me a warp drive, and now I can go back to the Lilat system, blah, blah, blah. So he is going to go back to meet Team Star Fox doing whatever. And I'm so glad that they had this end credit scene with him, because clearly this is now showing, yes, there is a future for this property in theaters or in animation, in a show. I would really be down with anything. I think out of all Nintendo properties, Star Fox is one of the ones that really could be a great TV show. I don't know, what Nintendo's feel is about that. I don't know if they've really thought about that too much, or if they even want to break into, like, a streaming service. I know that's dangerous. NSO streaming service. But I would also be down for a 80-90 minute movie. Again, with that animation that we saw in Fox's introduction. I mean, that would just be incredible. So I guess it's time to start talking about who should be cast as what. Obviously Glenn Powell's fantastic. I think Falco Lombardi, you just need someone like John Barenthal or something. Like, you really, like, kind of gangstery kind of sounding voice, I think would be really fun. Slippy Toad is a tough one, because I'm like, Slippy Toad could have been Charlie Day, but Charlie Day's Luigi. Could they just double cast him? Like, bring him back? I don't know. For Slippy, it's got to be someone like maybe Michael Cera or something. Like, he's got, like, a little bit of a, like, he's not fully a mess and not fully incompetent, but he's got a little nervousness in his voice too. Like, that could show both sides of Slippy, where it's like, look, I'm definitely clumsy, I'm a little all over the place, but hey, I build tanks. I know what I'm doing, you know? I think that'd be really cool. Peppy hair, I think, and this sounds crazy, Peppy hair should be Bryan Cranston. I know that sounds kind of crazy. Like Peppy going like, you're goddamn right. But I really think that'd be so cool. I think giving Peppy like a little bit of like an older edge would be very cool. Because Bryan Cranston, of course, we think Walter White, but he has softer sides in his characters too. And I think Peppy kind of showing both, like I can get serious and also like I am your fill-in father figure, would be very cool. Other actors in a Star Fox movie, it's, you know, actually now that I'm thinking about it, I feel like I want to put John Barenthal on Wolf instead. I think that could give him a little more edge. I don't know. I got to think about this a little more. There's definitely like a lot to think about, but the characters I want included for sure. Obviously the 4 main Star Fox characters plus Crystal. I would love General Pepper maybe played by Paul McCartney, which would be a really cool reference to his original, you know, naming design being based off like Sgt. Pepper, the Beatles album. That could be super sweet. Wait, Beatles album? Is Sgt. Pepper a Beatles album? Beatles fans, let me know. It's Magical Mystery Tour, Sgt. Pepper's... something like that. But you know what I'm talking about. Sgt. Pepper. Oh, the Lonely Hearts Club Band. That's what I'm thinking of. I don't even think that's an album. That's just a song. That's a great song, though. But yeah, if Paul McCartney voiced him, I think that'd be incredible. Now that I'm thinking about it, Paul F. Tompkins, Mr. Peanut Butter on BoJack, and many more things should definitely be Bill Gray. Bill Gray should definitely be in it. Cat Monroe should definitely be in it. Some other characters. I think all of Star Wolf has to be in it. I think they have to be the villains. And you know what? I would be cool with them bringing back Andros just in the movie. Just in the movie, not in the games. If there's new games, we got to move on from Andros. That is not up for debate. If there's new games, move on from Andros. But these are just my early thoughts about, you know, Fox in the movie and how I think it worked out. I think, you know, it definitely made the movie a lot better for me. If he wasn't in it, I'd be like, you know, that was a cool little movie. Music was fantastic, but it's a cool little movie. There were a lot of fun parts that were Mario based, but damn. Fox McCloud being in there and just being maybe one of the best characterizations we've ever seen of him. Again, I love his Assault version, but then just having this, I'm like, this gives me so much hope, like freaking hope core and confidence going into this new era now of like, what could Star Fox be? I know it would never happen, but like have Glenn Powell voice him in everything, like even in the games. Never gonna happen. But he really did something here to just completely revive and turn around this character, and I am grateful for that. And I am just so like happy thinking about it. I can't wait to just keep listening to the flight deck and all these different Star Fox songs. And when this movie is on streaming, I need to see that 2D animated thing again. I'm trying to find the clip. I can't find it. It's so cool. And thank you, Miyamoto. Thank you, Meledandri. Thank you, Glenn Powell. Thank you, all the people who made this happen, because my goodness, it made for a great viewing experience for me. And I'm excited about the future of Star Fox in movies. I can't believe I could ever say that, but I can say that now. I never thought I would say that. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for watching. I want to know how you thought about Star Fox in the movie. How was the series portrayed? How was Fox McCloud himself portrayed? I thought very, very well. Did you like the music as much as I did? Please let me know down below. Remember, we're in this together. No one has to go it alone from here. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.